Hey everybody, Karl Diffenderfer here. I want to take a few moments to talk about our sales mastermind group this month, in October, and so it was a great month for seeing the trees in the background as they're starting to turn color. And we'd like to talk with you a little bit about what we learned today and kind of set you up for success as you go about your month. And so we're talking today about being organized, and I know we dread that word, right? All of us do, and we aren't the greatest at doing it sometimes. At least that's for me. I'm not pointing my finger at these guys here, but
I don't know. I felt it. I felt the pointed finger.
Yeah. So
I want to stay friends with you guys. I don't want to say anything about it.
So some of the words that people used to describe the most organized moment of their lives. I challenge you to think about that too. If you think back to the most organized moment that you've ever felt in your life, one of the guys said his wedding. I thought that was rather comical. But some of the words that they shared were these: knowledge, confidence, self-aware, more time available, a rigid schedule that imposed deadlines, incentive, delegation, the cost involved, the investment involved, the effectiveness and productivity, the responsibility, living up to the standards of the staff, the fear of being organized, which was an interesting statement, clarity and capacity, their bandwidth, consistency, and the patterns of their day-to-day. So of that, what kind of stands out to you guys the most? What were the ones that resonated with you the most today?
Well, mine was the incentive, just because if I can be organized, it allows me to be able to see free time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, because I get things done in a timely manner, an organized manner. Hate to keep using that term organized, but that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But making sure I've got my, or let's just say the business is in a proper order, paperwork-wise, calendar-wise, my time management of that calendar, all that, then that gives me the freedom to do what I want with my family.
Yeah.
With that.
That's interesting you say that, because we didn't even say that this morning, but organization is preparing for the future, what you know now.
Yeah.
And so we don't always think about that, but it's taking that moment of pause to stop and say, okay, I need to prepare this for the future moment. So instead of doing it last minute, like some of us do, we're preparing in advance for that. How about for you, Randy?
I'm often influenced by the comments around the table as I hear them, how they strike me, not just mine, but what comes from the table. And I think that's the tremendous value of a mastermind group, a round table, if you will, and why being a part of it, you kind of hear the cross-pollination of ideas and how they influence. And one of the persons in the list there mentioned fear. And kind of after the session was over, I asked about why he had said that. And he said, the motivation of being out of control, fearing being out of control, that kind of prompts him and motivates him to try to better manage and be in control. And he didn't mean to be a control freak. He just meant to manage things well, to manage his business well, his organization process well. So it did give him, it did set boundaries for him. It helped him to do that. And it gave him the freedom to do things that he enjoyed doing beyond the things that were business and work related.
Yeah, that's good.
I liked his, not example, his actual, he and his wife have the command center in the kitchen where they write down what the kids' activities are for the week, what they have, what their activity, so they can plan it out so that they're not running helter-skelter, trying to get things done or forgetting things. I thought that was really an interesting concept, and he said he actually has the command center.
Yeah.
I believe not being organized, that fear can also spill over into possibly losing your business, because in my practice, I tried to counsel, as a counselor, I was trying to counsel a certain business that they just could not keep operating. I mean, their receipts were in paper shopping bags, right?
Wow.
And you know, and they would. I would just sit there and I'd get so frustrated when I would meet with them.
Yeah.
And eventually, they lost control. They weren't organized in their money. They weren't organized in anything. Their lists were written on scrap papers and taped to the wall and everything. And I just like, this is not going to work. And it didn't. You can only build on that sand for so long before the water's going to wash it away. And that's what happened.
Somebody once said that disorganization is a delayed decision.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
I found that very, like, that kind of nailed me between the eyes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. Yeah. What was it now?
Disorganization
Is
is
a
a
delayed
delayed decision.
decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard make a decision before you need to make a decision to make a decision.
Yeah, there you go. Same
And,
thing.
I had to remember all that phrasing there for a moment, but yeah, the idea is I was telling someone, a younger person, we were talking about this, and I said, I kind of joked about, I have my doctorate degree in procrastination, that, and I know I'm not alone in that, that we are the great procrastinators, putting something off. And I learned to reduce the weight of my day and my month, to reduce the weight of decisions, is do it now or do it as quickly as I can do it. So that, and the idea is I don't want to carry that weight around if I don't have to.
Yeah.
There are some times that you can make a decision that you have to put something off until later because you're not ready to do the thing. You need more information, you have to do
Right.
research, whatever, make some contacts and so forth. There are times where you have to do that. But if you're just putting it off because you're putting it off, you're going to carry that around with you, and it not only affects the thing that you're putting off, but it affects other things, and you don't realize that. You don't realize it may be affecting family because you've done that, or your relationship with your spouse or your kids or other business partners or employees, your relationships, period. And the sooner the better. You get it off. Now it's not something that you're carrying around, doesn't create anxiety in you, and now it's done.
Yeah. One of the things I think back to early on in my career, I was a young business owner, and I know I'm still a young business owner. I get it, but I was in my 20s. I had started my first company, and somebody challenged me to minimize the mental touches that I had on something. So instead of having, like for an example, with an email, I get an email, I read the email, I let it sit there. 2 days later, I look at the email again, I let it sit there. And so ultimately, I kind of came to the spot where I had to decide, okay, is this something I can handle quickly, delegate quickly, or is this something that I need to come back to later? And when I come back to it later, I actually have a software that allows me to send it out of my inbox and bring it back into my inbox when I'm actually ready to deal with that. And so I would say, okay, well, next Monday is when I'm actually going to deal with this. I know it's going to take an hour. I'm going to put it on my calendar, send the email out, and next Monday it'll come back in and I'm ready to go. And so it took me some time to kind of hold myself accountable to that. But now it's like, can I do this now or not? If I can't, when am I going to do it? Am I ever going to do it? If I'm not going to do it, then why even leave it in my inbox?
Right.
Why even have it on my task list? It doesn't matter. If I'm not going to actually do it, get it off. And then kind of going back to the whole bandwidth thing, like, am I saying yes to too much or not? So,
Yeah.
I think that's interesting you talk about the emails, because back before the computers and
Stone
emails,
Age, yeah.
and we would get things called mail in the office, and what you had to do is, instead of letting it pile up and up and up, is touch it once.
yeah.
Just touch
Yeah.
it once and
Yeah.
dispose of it. Either put it in the trash can, put a note on it and send it to the file, dictate whatever you need to dictate. Get it off of your desk. Don't let them pile up. And that's the same thing with the emails.
Yeah.
Now it's emails, see attached.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad we had that conversation. And now we're going to spend a little time talking about what we hope to cover next month. So let's continue moving on. That was this month. Next month, we'd like to talk with you about how to manage time from an energy standpoint. Because we, all three of us, and all the coaches on the team, believe that it's not about managing time as much as it is energy. Why would you say that? Why would you agree with that?
Well, we all have the same amount of time, where we focus our energy, and I would suggest too, when we focus that energy. Sometimes, research has told us that we make better decisions earlier in the day versus later in the day.
Because we're tired.
Yeah, because we're tired. We've spent energy in the early part of the day, and that not necessarily very early. Some people are not very, very early people, but it's what we're choosing to focus our energy on. Are we too available for distraction? Do we put our energy on things that are less productive? Now, it doesn't mean that we can't have the liberty or freedom to do those things later, but where do we choose to focus our energy, and how do we plan to focus our energy is something that often people really, I know all of us, we struggle with that. So
Yeah, I think of burnout. And how our energy, our burnout is basically not enough energy to do what we need to do. And usually, for me at least, that means that I've said yes to too much, and I need to take some things out of my agenda and my schedule to say no to them, to actually be able to do with excellence the things that I have said yes to. And when I do that, that's when I'm the most alive. That's when I'm the most effective at what I'm doing. And so for me, that's definitely going to be part of what we talk about. How
Well,
about
that
you,
was,
Chris?
that was one of the underlying themes of today was boundaries.
Yeah.
Saying no and setting boundaries so that you don't get burned out.
Right.
So that you keep the energy on the important things, the things that are most productive for you. And I thought that was very astute of everybody, that they were seeing that a lot of them needed to set boundaries
Yeah.
in their workplace, where they were just allowing things to just overwhelm them. And there your energy gets sapped when you get overwhelmed. It's like getting hit by a wave that
Yeah.
you weren't expecting,
Yeah.
and you're just tumbling around and tumbling around.
yeah, there are always things. All of us have things that we have to do that we just have to do.
Right.
They're
Right.
not necessarily things that we enjoy doing, but we choose to do those things to get those things out of the way so that we can do the things that do energize us. Because there are certain things that I just love to do that at the end, after I've done it, it's like, I can't wait to do it again, and tomorrow's coming, and I get ready, I'm getting ready, I'm rested, I'm getting ready to do it all over again. All of us have those things that we don't like to do, and so we get those done and get them out of the way, so it frees us up, and we're not carrying the weight of not doing that thing all day.
long.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree. Like waiting to do something that we loathe doing. It's at the end of the day, you're like, oh crap, I still didn't do that. So I've found, and that's part of the reason why I'm trying to exercise in the morning. I can't say I especially like exercise, although I will say it is growing on me. Like mold, but it's growing on me. And so, what are those things that you loathe doing? You're going to it'd probably be good for you to identify them, and we'll be definitely working on that. I have a specific exercise that I have in mind already that's part of our coach's toolkit. That's really going to help you identify what gives you energy, what takes away energy, and how do you better manage that with your time.
And that can lead to procrastination.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
If you don't deal with it.
Can you procrastinating?
Oh, I do it all the time.
Putting things off.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
that's,
yeah.
yeah, that's a real cycle to get in. Oh, and I've been there.
Hey,
I didn't know that had a terminology for it though. One of the things that we learn when we come together for this roundtable and mastermind group is we don't just learn from one another, and we don't. It's not like others are just learning from coaches.
Yeah.
I heard someone today make a statement about, so how long does that thing take that you don't like to do?
Yeah.
That was a great insight
question.
from someone
Yeah.
here, because when you think about it as she did, she
Yeah.
said, I realized it takes less than 15 minutes of my day to do this, and then once I've done it, It's done, it's
done.
over,
Yeah.
and I don't have to think about it anymore. And I thought that was so good, because sometimes we think, oh, just put it off, and I put it off, and I put it off, because we just don't want to do it, but we don't think about if we just got it done, it's going to take 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And the labor is over, and now we get to do the things that we love, enjoy
And
doing.
now we don't have that pressure pushing down on us the rest of the day, saying, "Oh yeah, I got to do that. Oh yeah, I got to do that. Oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, I don't want to do that." You know that pressure that I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And it just nobody wants to live that way.
It was interesting, it was in the context of paying your taxes.
Yeah, you're right. It was.
Yeah, business taxes, put it off,
Business
put it off,
taxes,
put it off.
put it off.
Yeah, yeah,
Get it
yeah.
done, get it done.
Well, everybody, we hope that you can join us again next time online or in person at our Masterminds. We have a mastermind group in Frederick, Maryland, and 2 here in Lancaster. Welcome you to join us. There's actually a couple more mastermind groups in the works that might be a better fit for you. So track us online, follow us. If you have questions throughout your month, we're here, all of us coaches, there's 10 of us total. We're here as a resource for you. And we just challenge you, take advantage of us. We'll give you tons of free, good information proving to you that we are there to make a difference in you. And ultimately, our goal is to make you successful. If we can do that, then we pay for ourselves.
Absolutely.
And even if you don't pay us, call us, take advantage of us, and see the value that we can bring to you. And so until next month, have a great month. We'll see you next time.
So long.
Over and out.
So long.
See ya.